Alright, so recently I hit one above all in Marvel Rivals. It was like peak rank 452 and I mained Iron Fist. Also, I'm currently the rank 1 Iron Fist somehow, not sure how. Now, prior to this, I have no experience in Overwatch or Valorant. Casually, I'm probably like a gold player in those games, but I never took it seriously. I took this game seriously, so it made me hit one above all. And now I'm going to share you guys some tips on how I hit one above all so that you too become top 500. Starting with the first tip, using your ultimate at the right times. So this one is a little vague, but so I'm going to explain how to do this one. So let's say you're playing Star-Lord, easy wipe, you don't need any skill, no nothing, really broken ultimate, etc, etc. Let's just pop it out. But unfortunately, you popped it at the wrong time because they still have Magneto ult, still have a support ult, still have another support ult, or they have Loki runes. Well, now your Star-Lord ult is burned unless your intention was to burn one of their support ults. But usually as Star-Lord, you want someone else to use their ultimate to bait out these ults before you do it, as your ultimate is very OP. And with this tip, what I also mean is that you don't want to just solo ult in 1v6 the enemy. You want to wait for your teammates to follow up with you. Because remember, this game is a 6v6, so if your whole team isn't ready for you to use your ultimate, there's a high chance that your ultimate won't go as successful as your other ones if it was a 6v6. Or maybe you do wipe the enemy, but your card is way too far. And yeah, maybe you did stagger them with your ultimate, but you just burned an ultimate just to stagger some people instead of waiting for the real fight to happen. And plus, maybe your card didn't even move that much, so it's not even a worth ultimate, and now you're down a resource. That's why in Iron Fist, I actually like to sit on card a lot until it's finally time for the enemy to commit and stop the cart, because I'm really mobile, so I don't have to actually set up for anything. I can be there in the blink of an eye. Next tip, support ulting when the fight is already won. I know you guys sometimes double support ult, I've done it too, it happens. But I don't like it when this happens. Sometimes, let's say you're in a 6v6, you get 2 picks on, say, a tank and a DPS, but then all of a sudden, the enemy support starts to ult. And then, say you're the support, you think, I gotta counter this, so I support ult back. But the issue is you're using an ultimate just for a 4v6, which you can easily, 1, kite out, or 2, probably just out heal their 1 tank and 1 DPS. Now, if their DPS is ulting or you're going to get aggro-modoed, that could be a potential wipe, so I wouldn't mind support ulting that. But countering a support ult when it's already 4v6 is very unnecessary, and you'll probably win more games if you don't do this type of support ultimate. At this point, you're just giving your team motivation. We all know motivational supports are the worst kind of ults. Now, contrary to this, don't use any ults if the fight is already lost. So let's say your team is the one who got 2 deaths before the team fight even started or picked off. At this point, it's just better to conserve your ultimates, save it for when your team regroups, do not stagger. Yeah, there's a chance you're playing Magic and you can 1v6, but I mean, that's a bad example. I actually think that could possibly happen, but if your 2 supports are dead, say they're the ones who got picked off, it's probably better to save that magic ult for the next 6v6, especially if you know they have no support ults. Of course, if you're just going to burn it just to burn a support ult in that kind of situation, I do think it's perfectly fine to do that. But there's a higher chance they won't even burn the support ult and still kill you just because it is a 4v6 on your side. And even if you do get 2 kills, let's say that, there's a chance even after you ultimate that you might still end up losing a fight. So key rule, just play 6v6 if you can, and then you start burning ultimates and then it's fine and see what happens. This next tip is a great tip for a lot of players, especially me, but play melee characters if you suck at aiming. I know I'm not the best aimer. I think a lot of players aren't like Shroud or anyone. So if your goal was to be one above all, there's really no point in competing with these god aimers. So you should specialize in something a little bit easier or cheesier, like Penny Parker. Like, she's not a melee character, but aiming with her is not that hard, right? Something like Magic, Black Panther, Iron Fist, etc. So I took this path and it did get me with the one above all, so my strategy worked. Why be a rip-off Shroud, which will take too much time, when I could be the rank 1 Fister? The next tip I have for you guys is find easy characters that can help you climb. I mean, this is why there's so many inflated Rocket Raccoon mains. It's so funny. I know. I play Rocket Raccoon when I need to. I can't aim. You want to see me play Luna? I have a negative win rate. I default to Rocket Raccoon when it's time to go support. I defaulted to Cloak and Dagger when it was time to go support, but she's kind of bad right now. Thing is a pretty easy tank. Just punch people and then jump out. All I'm saying is, just because a character is easy does not mean it's a bad character. And also, the easier it is to play a character, the easier it is to master that character at a one above all level, or whatever level you want to be at. Like a one above all thing is not that much different than a grandmaster thing, right? It's probably the way they use their ultimates. It's probably the only difference, or their survivability rate. Next tip I have for you guys is, you're gonna hate this one, but it's learning to swap. Unfortunately, I don't want to do it. No one wants to do it, but you gotta swap in certain times. For instance, when Iron Fist is facing 3 supports, it's time to swap off because you'll never kill anything. You know what I do when I see 3 supports? That's right, I go 3 supports too. Rocket Raccoon style. Or like, say you're playing Black Panther / Spider-Man into Namor with team up, and then you're still forcing it, but you're probably not doing that well. It is unfortunate, but yes, you gotta swap off when you have the counters into you. Or if you're playing, this is a big one, if you're playing Punisher and you don't have a Magneto, but the enemy does have a Magneto, that Magneto is probably going to dunk you every time you ultimate. Even if you try and outplay it or even ask for help, there's a big chance that it might not go your way and you still get dunked. Or if you're playing Rocket Raccoon, but the enemy has Star-Lord, Psylocke, Magic Ultimate, but you only have 1 defensive ultimate, your team is going to get wiped every time someone has a DPS ult, and you only have 1 support ult to actually counter it. So at this point, it's actually time to swap off Rocket Raccoon. Or like playing Thing into infinite ammo, it's just going to be very, very hard. Next up is going to be knowing your enemy hero's counters. So for instance, if the enemy is playing Spider-Man Venom, you could play Thing. Thing will make Spider-Man not be able to dash away as well as Venom, so you can lock him down with that Earthbound technique. Or if you're facing Spider-Man Venom, you can always run 3 supports. Spider-Man doesn't have that much damage. If he picks one of you guys, well, maybe you're playing Rocket Raccoon and you res that one, or you still have 2 healers so you can still fight while Spider-Man goes away for like 5 seconds and then comes back like 5 seconds later, but you can still stabilize. You can out heal that assassination potential. Like Dive is countered by 3 healers. Dive is also countered by Thing as well as Namor. That's why when I see enemy go 3 supports as Iron Fist, I say, fine, I'll do it too. Next one is going to be having a good hero pool. Well, I only have 2, but I do have a hero for each situation. Like for instance, I have Captain America, which is very similar to Iron Fist, but I rarely play him because I'll just play Iron Fist. I used to play Cloak and Dagger in season 1, but then she got nerfed to her ultimate, and also a lot of people actually counter her ultimate, like Magneto, Hawkeye. I'll play Venom or Thor only if I have a Hela or a really good Spider-Man, which also brings me to my next tip. Team ups are OP. You should abuse them. Maybe you're not the best Luna player, I know, but your teammate is forcing Namor. So if you want to empower this Namor, you should play Luna. Unfortunately, if you suck at Luna, hope to God your Namor carries. Or if you have a Spider-Man, but he doesn't have a Venom, he can work decently, but it's just so much better with the Venom, of course. So maybe your hero pool is big enough, and then your teammate locks in Punisher. That's a really good game for you to go Rocket Raccoon. Not only team-ups are OP, there are synergies out there such as Black Widow and Mantis, or Black Widow and Storm. That can also be considered a team-up or like a little OP comp to run. All I'm saying is it's really good to abuse synergies and team-ups to climb. That's how I did it in season 0. Even though I wasn't really good at the champions, we had the team-up, and also it was my belief that the season bonus only activated when you had the team up, so I was like, I'm going to abuse this damage boost, right? So that's what I thought, but the season bonus is always throughout. Next one is going to be stop stacking DPS ults and tank ults. I see this happen a lot. Let's say Strange lands a big Agamotto. All of a sudden you hear your ally Star-Lord ulting as well, and then your Bucky ults and you're like, yo guys, we just popped 3 ults for a really one fight. Like our Strange just hit a 6-man ultimate. He kills both the supports in the backline. All of a sudden, Bucky and Star-Lord start ulting, and you're like, but their 2 supports are already dead. And then so for your next fight, you don't have a DPS ult, you don't have a DPS ult, you don't have a tank ult, maybe even your Invis ulted for motivation. It's just like, guys, we don't have a lot of ults for the next fight, so we might get wiped. That's why teams which have a good cycle will usually constantly snowball on you, because they're cycling their ultimates really properly and only usually burning 1 or 2 ults just to win a fight, not 4. Now this is a very big tip that I learned, but using comms, especially commuting those support ults, even if you're the DPS, like I know it's the support's job to communicate who's ulting first, but if they're not communicating, they're not using their mics, you as a DPS or tank should be like, so supports, who's ulting first? And then your supports will either type it out, or maybe they do have mics and say, I'll ult first, right? So what you're doing is eliminating the possibility of double support ulting on your team, so you can last longer, and making sure your team is constantly winning fights as your team doesn't double support ult. Trust me, I've won games doing this. Next tip, play 6v6. Stop trying to fights when someone is staggered. So let's say 6v6 is kind of happening, all of a sudden someone gets picked, another person gets picked. I will literally just sit there until my team regroups. I will not feed the enemy ult charge, especially if I ult. I will just sit there, do nothing until my team regroups. It is really good to just play 6v6. Don't even try a 5v6 or even 4v6, especially if your support is down. 5v6 will not go in your favor. A 5v6 with 2 supports and whatever else might work, but usually if your support is dead, that fight is not going to go good. Next tip, focus the support. You have to kill the supports. You're playing tank, I don't care, you just go for the supports. Okay, Magneto can start shooting the supports in the back, which get their heals off for tanks, and it's like really good. DPS can aim for the supports if they can, or fist them in the back if you're playing Iron Fist, dive, etc. I mean, it's really weird. I've seen Eternity Venoms just go for the DPS instead of the supports, and I'm like, yo, like, they're just gonna get healed. You're feeding them ult charge. You gotta pressure the supports. And they are the key for a team to collapse when one of them goes down. Otherwise, if you just constantly hit their tanks, they're just gonna get healed by that 3 clone Loki. Someone has to pressure the supports or take them down. And that person could be you playing Flank Rocket. I'm just kidding. Play DPS if you're gonna kill them. And that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want more tips like this, I'll make another video. Just let me know in the comments below. Hopefully it helped you. I do have a lot more tips that I want to give, but only if you guys want more of this type of video. But anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.